Imagine mourning a fictional character so deeply that you actively start applying real-world physics to their death.
Oh, wow. Yeah, just to prove the writer's wrong, right?
Exactly, like mapping out the literal gravitational weight of a ghost holding a spinning top.
I mean, that is an intense level of dedication.
It really is. So welcome to today's deep dive, everyone. We are looking at what happens when a localized kids anime becomes, well, a psychological masterpiece for an entire generation.
Right, because we are unpacking a highly passionate, just incredibly detailed YouTube video essay today.
Yeah, from the channel Cartoonum. The video is called Ryuga and Doji are the best animated villains I've seen, and it dissects the anime Beyblade Metal Saga.
And you really don't need to be an anime expert to enjoy this one. It's just a fascinating case study.
Totally. It's about writing unforgettable villains, the unsung art of international voice acting, and how unresolved plot holes can literally drive a fan base crazy.
The sheer emotional gravity the reviewer brings to this, it just completely transforms how we need to view the material.
It really does. I mean, our source today is this raw, highly analytical transcript from an Israeli fan, and it is basically a manifest.
Yeah, she holds the Beyblade Metal Saga up as an abs masterclass writing.
She actually compares the emotional impact of finishing this series to the kind of, lingering trauma you get from finishing a profoundly great book.
Right, trauma in a good artistic way. It's a huge testament to how adapted media can imprint on someone during their formative years.
I kept thinking about sports fans, like how they'll spend decades debating a legendary play.
Oh, analyzing the angle of the foot, the trajectory of the ball.
Exactly, the psychology of the quarterback on that specific Tuesday. That is the exact level of forensic fandom we're...
But instead of a football, it's about spinning top and the metaphysical rules of ghosts handing over toys.
Right. But before we get into the villains, we have to establish the stake. Because if you aren't familiar with Beyblade, you might just be picturing kids crouching on a sidewalk.
Yeah, just playing with plastic tops. But in the Metal Saga, these bays are practically weapons of mass destruction.
Exact. They house these ancient mythological spirits. When they clash, they're generating shockwaves, tearing up concrete.
They hit with the force of meteorite. There are strict physical properties and intense gravitational rules here.
So when these characters fight, they're engaging in high-stakes spiritual warfare. And establishing that scale is crucial for understanding the villain.
It really is, because it informs the architecture of the people who want to control that power.
Which brings us to the reviewer's central thesis. She argues that the two primary antagonists, Ryuga and Doji, are unparalleled.
Right. Not just good for a kid's show, but structurally superior to villains in prestige television.
Yeah, and she presents their relationship as deeply symbiotic dynamic. So let's look at Doji first.
Doji is the classic mastermind archetype, and the reviewer is very upfront about the fact that she
Oh, she hates him. He is a nuisance, a menace, just a truly awful, manipulative individual.
But, and this is key, she admits the show fundamentally needed him to exist.
Right, Doji is the catalyst. He's the executive pulling the string. He deliberately sought out.
Because he needed Ryuga to obtain this forbidden, incredibly dangerous bay called El Drago.
Exact, which was hidden in Koma Village, the hometown of the protagonist Ginka and his friend Hokuto.
So Doji does all the bureaucratic, dirty work of evil. He is the architect of the central...
But I have to ask you, if she hates Doji so much, why admit that Ryuga wouldn't work without him?
Well, in storytelling, we actually desperately need characters we despise to make the ones we love shine.
It's like salt in a chocolate, right? You don't want a spoonful of salt, but without it, the cookie is flat.
I like that analogy. Doji provides that necessary contrast. He's the contained, high-pressure environment that lets Ryuga explode.
Without Doji building the infrastructure and funding the dark organizations, Ryuga is just an angry guy with no stage.
Exactly. Doji handles the tedious exposition and plot advance. That frees Ryuga up to just arrive and be terrifying.
And the reviewer points out this bizarre narrative paradox. He actually stops being a traditional villain pretty early on.
Yeah, after the first or second season, he sheds Doji's control. He becomes more of a lone wolf or an anti-hero.
Yet, to this fan, he remains the ultimate antagonist figure. He is terrifying, but deeply missed when he's off-screen.
How do writers achieve that, right?
Yeah.
How do you make an audience crave the presence of the person trying to destroy the hero?
I think it's because Ryuga has his own independent gravitational pull. He isn't just react heroes.
Right, he has his own agenda and moral compass, skewed as it is. They never really defang him.
Even when he helps the heroes, it's on his own arrogant terms, but none of that works without Doji building the pedestal first.
And the creators clearly knew Doji's value because they refused to let the mastermind stay dead.
Oh man, Doji's return is so wild. He is brought back multiple times, first in Season 3 alongside Rago and Pluto.
And then they take it completely off the rails after that massive battle between Rago and Ryuga in episode 138.
Right, Doji falls, and it seems so final. But then he returns again in season 4 as this tragic, non-human entity.
Barely surviving, returning as a literal shadow of his former self. It's a classic mythological punishment for hubris.
He thought he could control forces of nature like Ryuga and Rago, and he got consumed by them.
But the reviewer respects the craft of it. She hates him, but acknowledges his structural necessity.
So the writing is solid, but the reviewer makes a crucial point by brilliant writing dies if the vocal delivery is flat.
And that is where this deep dive takes a wild turn into international localization.
Yes, she introduces a bold claim. She says the Israeli Hebrew dub of the anime actually surpasses the original Japanese dub.
Which is a massive, borderline heretical statement in the anime community. The original Japanese is usually considered sacred.
Total. But it speaks to this phenomenon of cultural resonance. A local actor brings specific cultural cadence.
Exactly. They bring a localized emotional register that hits a foreign audience directly in the heart.
And the casting choices in Israel were unorthodox, to say the least. Let's talk about Liron Lev voicing Ryuga.
This detail genuinely blew my mind when reviewing the sort.
Right. The terrifying, iconic voice of this ultimate anime villain was provided by a pop...
Specifically, he got 4th place on Season 2 of Kokav Nulat, which is the Israeli equivalent of A Star is Born or American Idol.
It is such a staggering juxtaposition. You have a reality stage pop vocalist stepping into a booth to voice a demon.
A character defined by unyielding rage and dark power, played by a guy known for earnest melody.
The reviewer was so obsessed, she actually messaged Liron Lev on Facebook to ask about...
Wait, really? She reached out on Facebook?
Yeah, and he replied. He admitted he had a blast going crazy with the voice, though now he mostly dubs Disney movies.
That is incredible. It's like finding out a famous horror villain was voiced by Kelly Clarkson.
Exactly. It's jarring at first. The reviewer even admits she used to call his voice squeaky or chirpy.
But that chirpy quality evolved. Think about the physiology of a singer. They have incredible breath control and dynamic range.
Right. He brought a theatrical rhythm to the monologues. He wasn't just growling. It was like an area of arrogance.
And that specific vocal fingerprint became so perfect to her that she can't imagine the character without it.
And it doesn't stop with Ryuga. She praises Vika Foreman, who voiced Doji, calling his performance a killer combination.
Foreman captured the exact frequency of a bureaucratic manipulator. They injected a new soul into her.
Which perfectly explains why the flip side of this is so devastating. The trauma of recast real.
When a young viewer bonds with a character, they are bonding with the human voice. The voice is the neurological link.
So when the actor for Pilya, Yuval Garbash, moved to New York, the studio replaced him with Sarbadi.
Logistically necessary for the studio, but a violation of reality for the fan.
She absolutely loathes this change. She says Badishi's voice is completely wrong for...
Though she admits he did fine with another character named Toby, right?
Yeah, she tries to be fair, but for Kiyoya, it's a disaster. She even plays armchair casting director.
Who did she suggest instead?
Marin Aronovich. Fans might know him as Knuckles in Sonic X or Spectra in Bakugan. She says he'd be a way better fit.
It makes sense. When a voice changes inexplicably, the brain rejects. It triggers an uncanny valley effect.
It feels like an imposter took over your best friend. The emotional continuity is just violently severed.
Which is why she issues that stern warning to future dub directors.
Oh, yeah. She declares that if a Beyblade movie is ever made, they absolutely must bring back the original cast.
Specifically Gershonik, right? The voice of Ginka and Chris.
Yeah, she pleads that they move mountains to get him back, or the cinematic experience would be ruined.
It highlights how fragile these characters are for international fans. Their existence depends on studio budgets and actors' life choices.
The fan has zero control. And speaking of zero control, we have to look at how the story treats these characters' fates.
This is where we get into the ambiguous anime death and the famous ghost paradox.
Yes. So setting the scene for the end of Season 3, Metal Fury. Spoiler alert for a decade-old show, everyone.
The ultimate spoiler alert. So Ryuga battles the apocalyptic evil, Nemesis, controlled by Rago.
Ryuga gives it everything, but he is overpowered. With his last strength, he gives his star fragment to young Ken.
The star fragment is basically this core of immense celestial power. And after he passes it on, he just vanishes.
He seemingly dies, but the animation is deliberately vague. He just fades out of the narrative.
And for this reviewer, deliberate vagueness is a storytelling crime. She demands forensic closure.
Did he actually die? Where's his body? Was there a funeral? Did Ginka visit his grave? She needs answers.
She points out that classic anime trope at the end of the season where Ginka talks to Ryuga in his head.
And Ryuga's smiling, translucent image appears in the cloudy sky, but she is having none of it.
A face in the sky is a cheap visual trick to her. It's symbolic, but logistically, where is the corpse?
It's like when a TV show cuts to black. We demand the police tape. We need the narrative ritual of grief.
If we don't get it, a part of our brain refuses to accept they're gone, and the franchise itself fuels her denial.
This brings us to Season 4, Shogun. A new character appears named Sakio Kuriyama.
Sakio is explicitly presented as a reincarnation of Ryuga. He has the same arrogant vibe.
And most importantly, he wields a specific bay called Ronin Dragoon. It's a reverse rotation dragon. It spins left.
In this universe, spinning left is Ryuga's exclusive signature gimmick. It absorbs power instead of deflecting.
So the narrative implies a passing of but the reviewer applies brilliant literal deduction.
This is the ghost physics argument, right?
Yes. It is hands down my favorite part. She says if Sakio received this bay from Ryuga, Ryuga cannot.
Because ghosts cannot hold physical objects. A spirit can't hand you a dense piece of metal.
It would fall right through their hands. It is airtight, unassailable logic applied to a magical universe.
I love how she takes the established ethereal rules of the face in the sky and weaponizes mundane physics against.
But she goes even deeper into the lore. She quotes a mechanic character named Madoka.
What did Madoka say?
Madoka explicitly stated that Ronin Dragoon is the only reverse rotation bay ever created by the W.
Wow. So she anticipates the counter-arguments, too, because there are a couple of exceptions, right?
Yeah, she acknowledges characters like King and Julian Concern have bays that spin both ways.
But a pure, exclusively reverse rotation bay like Sakio's is entirely unique. It intentionally mirrors Ryuga's Eldrag.
So her burning question is, how did this physical item get passed down if Ryuga evaporated?
It's structural evidence to her that the writers are hiding the truth, that Ryuga survived.
This need for consistency drives her to reject modern iterations of the franchise, but she also pitches solutions.
The dream movie pitch. It is such a highly specific, emotional, cinematic vision.
She pleads for a mini-movie about the 5 minutes immediately after Ryuga gives Kenta the star fragment.
She envisions this split-screen masterpiece. On one side, Ginka and friends fighting Nemesis with flashy animation.
But on the other side, the camera is locked on a battered Ryu. He has no magic left, just sheer willpower.
He's just surviving in the rubble to watch the battle. And the climax isn't an explosion.
No, it's entirely quiet. He watches them win, softly says, "Good job," and peacefully.
It's incredibly poignant. She wants him to die with dignity on screen, acknowledging the hero's worth.
It's a beautiful pitch, but this desperate need to protect these characters connects to her larger view of anime.
She compares this ambiguous ending to the trauma of finishing Yu-Gi-Oh! GX.
Which is another show that takes a toy commercial premise and injects it with existential dread and complex art.
She loves media that executes that bait and switch. She has absolute disdain for shows that fail to deliver.
Like the newer series, Beyblade Burst. She specifically targets Season 5 of Burst.
She calls it the worst in the franchise, equating it to the messy Yu-Gi-Oh! airs.
But even in her hatred, she admits to liking a few Burst characters, like Shu Kurenai and Silas.
And she hilariously dubs Silas a Diet Ryuga.
It is such a brutal insult. It shows the creators are trying to recycle the popular, edgy rival archetype.
But they water it down. They strip away the genuine malice, leaving just the aesthetic shell of a bad boy.
Diet Ryuga perfectly encapsulates that frustration, but she is self-aware about her own biases here.
Yes, the generational nostalgia aspect. She mentions playing with original Beyblades at age 8.
But she experienced the Metal Saga at age 16. That age gap is critical.
At 8, you just want to see bright colors and spinning tops. But at 16, your brain seeks complex narratives.
Moral ambiguity, arrogant anti-heroes. It resonates on a cellular level.
So is the Metal Saga objectively the best writing, or does a 16-year-old's emotional processing cement it as a masterpiece?
It's probably a mix of both. The show took big swings, but hitting that volatile moment in adolescence is what forged
The media and the mind met at the perfect intersection.
Let's synthesize this incredible journey. We started with a localized anime about Top and ended up dissecting mastermind villains.
We explored how a reality pop star inadvertently defined a terrifying character for a whole nation.
We looked at the frustration of applying real-world physics to Go and the genuine grief over a replaced voice actor.
It shows how deeply a localized piece of media embeds itself into someone's identity.
To you, the listener, I hope this reminds you of the power of passionate fandom.
Even if you don't know a Beyblade from a Bakugan, you can relate to wanting a story to treat characters with respect.
We all have our version of a Diet Ryuga that drives us crazy, but analyzing this localized passion leaves us with a final thought.
If an international dub changes the tone, voice, and cultural context so much that the audience loves it more than the original.
Who is the true author of that character's legacy? Is it the original Japanese writer who could the outline?
Or is it the local voice actor, like Liron and who stepped into a booth and completely reinvented their soul?
Think about the media you loved intensely as a child. Did you love the creator's vision or the local translator's adaptation?